That's good. Well, sorry, we got off on a little bit of a tangent there with the shipping impromptu. And so with that said, we'll go back to topic number 2. And as Dan mentioned, price fatigue is one of the reasons why Dan it sounds like you're opting out of Talon, at least at this time.
I am for right now.
So obviously this is something I think Eric coined the phrase in our private chat today, is like, don't we always talk about this topic? But it's like, we talk about the same things because they're things that affect us. They affect the community, constantly. And just when we think it's the worst it can get, never mind.
It's worse.
Turn the page, it's worse.
Yep.
But we're still suckers and we still keep buying, although selectively.
Yep.
Well, that's the one change I've seen. Like I said, we talk about this a lot, and people always say, well, if you keep paying, then they're going to keep charging you. And I'm starting to see, like I said earlier, more and more posts of people saying, I canceled last minute once I got the shipping notice. There's no way I was paying that shipping. So that could be a good thing. Maybe statue companies will take notice.
Well, you know what it is? It's one thing, and Chris, I think you mentioned this, I don't remember which show, but recently, where you said it's not just one or the other where the prices are going up significantly. It's both product and shipping.
Right.
And it becomes, we're looking at, 1/3 statues like Talon that, $1,150, which, by the way, for a 1/3 these days isn't the end of the world. But when you talk about for me, it's $384 in shipping, and I'm sure it's $80 in customs fees, and all of a sudden it's a $1,700 statue. It's like, okay, so where's your tipping point? And for me, on that piece is kind of like, I feel like it's over my tipping point. And it just causes me real pause. It's not that it's not awesome. It's not that I wouldn't for a minute have it in my collection. I definitely want it. It's just, it seems like it's a bridge too far, and I feel like I'm going to not feel as good about it if I do buy it. Like I will have overpaid,
Right. Well, Jeff actually sent this to us in our private chat today. So this is the global container freight rate index from January of 2019 to November of 2022.
This is telling.
Yeah, you could see it, the massive spike in 21. Obviously, that is when we heard about all those shipping cargo containers. No one could get cargo containers. It was just insane. And so, like, what is this, Jeff? What does this chart tell you about shipping?
Well, it's come right back down to where it was before all this started. So we should be seeing more reasonable shipping rates, and we're not.
And we're not.
So, before they were saying, well, this is the shipping container cost, so then that way we have to then reflect it, down the chain, the companies don't want to eat that cost, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, I thought that, like you said, that's very, very telling. And thanks for providing us that, Jeff. So again, price fatigue. We're to this point, like you said, that we have all of these prices going up. The shipping cost is, in my opinion, absurd. It's just absurd. I don't know any other word. Maybe the asinine. That we're to a point and I'm complaining about a $560 charge for Tech 1000. And then you hear people overseas where they're having to pay $1,000 or more or whatever. It's just like, how does any company expect to survive?
Yep. At
this rate?
Chris, and you know what? The question I've been kind of asking myself, Talon for me is a real, I feel like it's just a real, I don't know. It's a significant point for me in my collecting journey, right? I haven't hit this point in the past. You and I both kind of swallowed hard on the shipping price for Batman White Knight on bike.
Oh my God, yes, we did.
Wanted to throw up. But for me, that was an anomaly. This seems like this is becoming the norm. So what I've done, and Jeff Delaney's made really great points about this in recent shows, recent months, around could I find the same kind of enjoyment with a different collectible, like say a quarter scale that ships from Sideshow for $105 or something, and find the same level of enjoyment in that piece as I would with that Talon piece, right? For half the money, or $780 plus $80 shipping, and that's those are the questions that are running through my head, especially. We're looking at Tweeterhead. We know are coming out with a whole, slate of really exciting pieces.
Yep.
The other companies are making quarter scales, and so that's for me. It's just kind of causing me to take a step back and really evaluate: do I want to continue to go down, particularly the 1/3 piece where the boxes are so giant and heavy, and we know the shipping is crazy, and it's caused me pause. It's not causing me to stop collecting. It's just a matter of, okay, how do I want to focus my collecting? Where do I find the enjoyment?
And you have to shift. Like Iron Stark says, these prices almost make me want to go back to 1/6 because at least I know I won't pay $300 plus for the shipping. At least we hope.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, it might get to that. It's just crazy. The disappointing thing for me is, sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, I just reminded before I forget. So if you have a local comic book shop that deals with statues, like I have one near me, you don't have to pay for shipping.
Correct.
And you just pick it up from the comic book store.
That's true.
The thing is that
they don't get exclusives. That's why
there's not a ton of comic book stores that provide these. Most of the ones that I go to, there's some. They'll have like some Diamond Select type of things, maybe, but they don't have a lot of big stock because a lot of the casual person in their town doesn't go and spend $1,000 on a statue. They certainly would not in my town. Like they would sell maybe one a year, maybe.
Yeah, I don't have anybody that carries Prime 1.
Right.
No.
Me either.
Right.
Just a Sideshow mostly.
Now that Elite Comics in Kansas City that I visit, again, that's my closest one. That's a really good shop. Yeah. And they had like the Batman Who Laughs there, and they've had some great great Sideshow pieces, Iron Studios pieces. And I have seen some people in there buying them, but a lot of times you see the same ones in there for years because again, people just don't have the money to do it. If you're just a regular person going into a comic book shop, unless you are a hardcore collector, and every once in a while somebody will bite, but and I agree. I think, and I love the idea of supporting your local comic shop. If you do have a comic book shop, like, I had some great ones in Florida when I visited, by all means, like buy from them. Sometimes they are very fair with price. Sometimes I've seen them mark them up quite a lot.
Oh, I've seen them mark them up.
So, I mean, that's the only downside is that
they are well charging shipping costs on top. So they're getting their money back.
That's a good point.
I think it's a real thin margin from Sideshow too.
Yeah, right.
It is, from my understanding, but most of the stuff it's you just assume you're going to pay it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Eric,
right.
I noticed that Midtown Comics, they used to charge retail for Sideshow stuff.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while you'd get that 25% off coupon. I got some good pieces from them.
Oh, yeah.
25%.
Yeah.
Well, now they're not doing that anymore. Now they're charging at least 10, if not 15% above retail for all their Sideshow stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have, I'm out in New Jersey now. I have a friend that owns a comic book store, Conquest Comics in New Jersey, and he gets in, Sideshow pieces. And it's been a while since I purchased a statue through him, but if I did have to, I could pre-order a statue through him for actually a little bit cheaper than retail. Not much, say like $30 cheaper, and there would be no shipping charge. So, I mean, that might have changed. I'm going back maybe like 5 years, but that's how it was back then. It was actually, the only thing was that they never get the exclusives, and I always wanted the exclusive edition. That was the only downfall. But if Sideshow keeps making these statues without the exclusives, and I think I'll know what I'll be doing if those prices are still the same and I can get a better deal at the comic book store.
Sure.
Sideshow seems to be charging. I just saw that comment you just passed, Chris. And Sideshow is definitely charging full retail shipping. They're keeping the margin, which is their prerogative.
Sure.
They don't have to pass on the discount that they get, and they clearly have changed that.
And that's why I wanted to go back to the Bat Kid Voodoo's comment. It's like, I canceled Joker Dragon because of Prime 1 shipping only to reorder via Sideshow. That doesn't make it better.
No, not sometimes it makes it worse.
It sometimes makes it worse. Sometimes you can get it cheaper from Prime One, which is insane.
Yep.
But like you said, clearly Sideshow has changed how they're doing their shipping. Because again, like, it used to be very affordable. I mean, that's why I always ordered through Sideshow, because it didn't matter to me if the price was the same in another place. I always knew that in the old days, they weren't charging tax, which made a giant difference.
Yep.
And then second,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then second, the shipping was going to be affordable. Like, it was going to be decent. Like, you knew that if you bought a premium format, you were going to pay $30 or $40.
Yep.
Well, you remember my theory. My theory is that Sideshow has made the business decision, to try to keep their statues, their premium formats, in the $600 to $650 range.
Right.
Other companies, I think, have incorporated the higher shipping costs into the price of the statue. I think Sideshow is passing on the cost of getting the statue to them from China into their shipping rate. And that's why it's going up so much. And that's why it's sometimes more to order a Prime One piece from Sideshow than from Prime One. Because if you order from Sideshow, you're paying for it to come from Prime One and then again from Sideshow to you.
Yeah.
So that's my guess as to what's going on with Sideshow and shipping.
Yeah.
So do you feel like Sideshow should change that? Do you feel like they should increase their price a little bit and lower the shipping cost? I mean, because I feel
What's
like
the difference?
I know, but it's like, it's one of those things where I hear so many people say, I've canceled because of the shipping. It doesn't matter what product. It doesn't matter whether it was Batman versus Joker Dragon that's, almost $2,000 or a $600 Sideshow statue. I'm seeing it both ways. I'm seeing both people say, I don't know if it's just perception. Like, would it be better to say, okay, well, now the statue's $700 instead of $600, but shipping's cheaper? I don't know if people would be more willing to accept that.
Yeah, but if you go back to the graph with the shipping rates coming back down to what they were pre-pandemic, why aren't we?
Good
why
question.
aren't those rates going back?
Because we paid it.
Yeah, exactly. It's taxes, right? Taxes are
profit
coming
margin.
down.
I think we all need to email the company and just mail them this graph.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's go the other route, and we've talked about it a little bit here, is that I personally think that these companies are hurting.
I think so too. Yeah.
There is no question that people have dropped off. People have dropped off collecting, especially the high end, stuff with the economy and things like that. I see it every single day in the groups, or I have people message me every single day, asking me questions about this stuff. And it is one of those things where I feel like the companies are hurting. They are still trying to break even to where they were before. I mean, it's like they don't want to take a giant hit, but they want to stay afloat. I mean, you've seen, like, I feel like Sideshow's majorly retooled some of their, like their online or their live entertainment and some of that stuff. A lot of the shows they've been promoting, or they don't air. So I think there's a lot going on. I feel like there's, been people coming and going, restructuring. I think that's the word I was looking for, restructuring. Because of that, I think they've had to make some tough choices. When times are good, but when times are bad, you have to make some tough decisions. Do you guys feel like that's kind of what's going on with the reason why maybe some of these companies are shifting to maybe charging more, or, making some differences?
I do, but I tell you, I think it's pound foolish. I'm not sure it's a strategy that's going to pay off, right? Because if I can understand what they're doing, but it seems a little bit reflex or knee-jerk kind of reaction, right? Because what you're doing is you're alienating your core customer base, right? Your core customers who buy at a certain volume predictably and regularly, like us, like the guys on this chat, right? What you alienate them, and you start to deteriorate that base. The casual collector that's kind of in and out, that sometimes buys and sometimes doesn't, there's a big difference between eating into your core customer base and just the casual collectors. And I feel like they're alienating people like us. And
I don't feel like,
mistake.
and again, I'm not speaking for every company, but I do feel like, I feel like they do not care about us right now.
Big mistake.
Do you know how long it's been since I've seen a Sideshow piece that I've been like, ooh, I have to have that?
Yeah.
It's well over a year, because they're not making it.
Well, Sideshow hasn't even been putting up all their pieces for pre-order yet.
No.
That Spider-Man that Daniel Bell did last, what was it, San Diego?
Oh, that one's not up yet?
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't think so.
No, I've been keeping an eye out for it because
Huh.
personally I was interested in getting that trio, but I'm kind of like in that fence. Well, if they're not going to put them up, I'm not sure if I want to get them all.
And the Pattinson on bike.
Yeah, that one just completely disappeared.
That was weird. I was
It is weird, and we were gonna do something with Matt Black here on the channel, and obviously he's left Sideshow now, so that won't happen. That was something that we were gonna do after some conversations this summer, and talk about that piece and promote that piece, but it has just disappeared, and I really do think it's gonna come down to like, will people buy it because of the cost of it?
Yeah.
It is risky, some of these bigger pieces. It is difficult because I can see why they don't care about the core collectors right now. Again, we are not the priority. They are just trying to make it. And they have to target that audience that's willing to spend $20-$30 on something or $100 on something versus $2,000 on something. Because there's way more of those people, casual or not, that are going to keep them afloat.
Is that true though? You think?
Well, I think that's their thinking. I think that's their mentality.
I don't
like,
think it's going to work out for them.
I don't think that's.
I don't either in the
Because
long run.
those people are going to buy that $20 and $30 crap at Walmart.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just being devil's advocate. I feel like that's what they're thinking.
I
But
think that's a losing strategy.
Dan, I know we've talked a lot. We've questioned a lot of the decision making over the years. And it's never more evident right now that things are maybe not going great. And I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like there are a lot of us in the community.
Yeah.
You look at how many members are part of our groups. I mean, there's tens of thousands of collectors, and I see people buying constantly. So I know it all trickles down from the price of the factory, because the factory jacked up all their prices, to how much they charge per prototype, paint and everything else. It just trickles down, and of course it always ends up in out of our wallets.
I think that I go back to core customers, and when I say core customer, I mean people like us that buy frequently, right? But they shouldn't be, at least in my opinion, so dedicated to the collector that buys one or two pieces a year, right? We're this group of us. We are people that have, average out, how many pieces do you buy in a year, right? You buy, you sell, you move it around, right? It is truly a collecting hobby,
right?
And I feel like them eating into that group is deeply problematic, like deeply. Right? They're not going to make the money on the casual collectors. They're not going to make the money on the people that buy the Hello Kitty purse, every once in a while. Or don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure there's business to be had there, but I got to believe that, what was the core and what grew Sideshow was, the statues and selling them at volume at a good price, and building the community and all of that. And that's what got these communities going. I mean, I think Sideshow's right at the core of that. And now I don't know. I'm hoping that what they're doing with Tweeterhead is a good move. I'm optimistic or hopeful for what they're going to do with Tweeterhead.
Well, weren't those prices high? Like the Joker came out and like the price was really high, but then like Chad honored the $25 shipping. But at the time when the invoices went out, it was pretty high. I
think that piece was maybe a bit of an anomaly in of itself, right? Yeah, the chair and all, the size of it and like that. Yeah. That can't be every quarter scale that comes out.
That's true. It wasn't a good start, though.
No, exactly.
Fabian says, we're talking about shipping again. Well, it all comes down. I mean, it's either shipping or cost of the statue. I mean, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is it's both.
I want to ask you guys.
It is.
I've personally been eyeing a lot of pieces, not to say Sideshow or Prime 1, but like XM is a big one, where a lot of your retailers will include shipping for free, they quote, but the piece is marked up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
and I've been gravitating towards that because at least I feel like I know my total at the day I order.
Yeah.
Versus being surprised a year or two later.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd rather pay that extra $100 up front, knowing it's not going higher than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had someone in the group this week that had that the big bad toy store because they charge
Yeah.
the $4 flat rate shipping. They were like, well, the statue, no, that they were like, the shipping is so much cheaper there, but the statue is like $500 more than retail. They mark up the statues and then charge you the cheaper.
Some of
shipping.
them are like that one was a bad example of
Some of them are, but
really
I mean,
marked
when
up.
you
Some
look
are
at
actually
what the
recently
shipping is
marked up.
now, it could be cheaper than you would pay.
That is a good point, though. At least you see the price up front with that, but I don't know. I guess it's a gamble.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a depressing topic, but it's the reality, I think, of the hobby right now.
It's been influencing my personal collecting lately.
Yeah.
I think we need to protest.
Also, one thing for Sideshow, we've seen 2 pieces so far this year, and they're both pretty darn good.
They're great. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're great. Yeah. Yeah.
They just have to, like you said, they have to keep us, because if we are long haulers, like we've been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I am seeing long haulers get out. And if there's not long haulers, because you're not going to keep people 10 years in with Hello Kitty purses.
No. You're
No.
not.
I got a great deal on a lounge fly bag during Christmas. I
And
really
again, it's cool that they offer all of that.
I
You know,
really
it is
It is, but
it is great. And
But,
I'm happy for them.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
and that is stuff that you can buy from a million other places
Oh, yeah.
online.
Get it anywhere.
I mean, my Facebook feed, I get those lounge fly things. You could buy that crap. You could just shut your eyes and Google, and
Yeah.
Brandon, I think they are an official distributor. You know, they get a cut of every statue, and that's just the way it works. So they are an official. You know, but it's up to Sideshow what they carry. Like they did not carry Talon, and I cannot for the life of me figure out why.
Prime One might not have offered it to them.
They might not have. There's
Yeah.
been a number of them. The Chun-Li, the
Yeah.
Street Fighter Chun-Li was not available at Sideshow.
You can't even buy it from Prime One Direct if you're in the US.
Yeah, right. And so I don't know why there's certain pieces that Sideshow doesn't carry, and there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's up the same day, sometimes it's 7 months later when it went up for pre-order. It's very strange. I think it's probably a little give or take. Obviously, Prime One wants to sell as many as they can from their own site, so they don't have to pay a cut.
Yeah.
So if, like, let's say there's 1,000 of this
Oh,
statue,
sure.
and they've sold
Yeah.
500, but they still have 500 left, then they say, okay, Sideshow, you can now sell it
Yeah.
for the 500 we have remaining, but
Yeah.
but Sideshow's going to take 50% of that cut.
Yep.
And so I think that's why
distribution.
it's just distribution. I mean, it's just
that's
business. It's just
Yeah,
business.
exactly.
And so I think that's why there is that delay. I think the Prime One probably just waits and sees how well they sell. And
Exactly.
you know, I mean, with Talon, that's not a good example because there's only 350. I mean, that's a super low ES. But I mean, they are obviously happy enough with it to have it made, and so they could have easily said, "Nah, never mind, we cancel it."
You know, the hard part is you're not only are they potentially eating into their long haulers, as you said, like, you know, people that just are walking away. I still love the hobby, and I don't tend to walk away, but what the dangerous line that they're walking is they're changing habits potentially of long haulers, right?
Right.
My view, you know, I'm looking at changing my habits. I'm not planning on buying nearly as much as I have in the past from a volume standpoint. You know, I saw Eric, you know, it was either this week or last, made a really, I felt, compelling comment to a collector, like, be happy, enjoy what you have. You know, and I'm doing more of that, kind of sitting back, enjoying what I have a bit more and not worrying so much about what's next. And that's easier to do when both pricing and shipping are out of hand, you know, just easier to do.
I think some of that is helpful that we kind of recommend ordering more in stock now.
Yeah.
Whereas you know, the excitement was in that pre-order and, you know, all of that stuff. And I still do that as well, but I feel like I have slowed down in that as well. But I feel like that helps a little bit because then it does help you, like you said, sit back and just say, okay, man, look at all these amazing things I've got around me.
Yeah.
When you're always like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I'll be the first to admit that I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, me too.
As I'm sure we all are. We're all like, I know you like Delaney is chomping at the bit to get that Picard. Like I know, like it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
But it is important that we sit back and enjoy what we have. But I feel, I mean, I had some people comment earlier. It's like, I'm new to the hobby and I feel bad for them because this is such a crappy time to get in.
It is.
Yeah.
But the art is the best it's ever been. Like, that's the thing is like the art is outstanding. The talent of these artists, outstanding. But the cost is just, again, asinine. It's just ridiculous.
That's actually a really good point. The product in and of itself, almost across the board, has gotten better.
Yeah.
Like significantly better. And not that it was bad before, it's just gotten better. And so from that standpoint, that's a big positive. But and that's, I think, what keeps us interested at all, to be honest with you. At least for me, that's the case. It's just so good.
There is no question that the price fatigue is here to stay. I feel like, we've been saying it for a year and a half now, that you really have to be really selective on what you're getting, which does suck. Cause again, I know that there's that FOMO. Some people spend beyond their means. I've seen it in the community where we're like, it's just, I'm not going to get it. And then a week later I bought it cause I was worried that I was going to miss out. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yep.
And this is I don't know. This is not a necessity. This is stuff we don't need. It's all luxury. Spend the kind of money on this stuff. But I don't know. You guys want to say anything else about this topic? I mean, we could probably talk about it for 3 hours and just go round and round and round.
I think we beat that horse sufficiently.
Until next show.
Yeah. Ryan says probably not a bad time to buy some older pieces that people want to get rid of, though.
Yeah.
Especially if they are getting a piece.
I'm selling Batman Dam.
I'm selling Batman Dam.
I mean, that's the thing
he's
is
totally right.
I'm selling them for $1, but shipping out.
yeah, dollar. But he's exactly right. Like, I've seen a ton of collectors with a giant list.
Oh yeah.
That they're out. I mean, out for real. Like, they are literally selling their entire collection.
Yep.
And the list is 20, 30 deep.
Yep.
And some prices have been really stupid. Like, it's been like, I can't believe they're asking that much. Or on the other hand, they're clearly trying to move. I mean, they're trying to move the stuff. I know, like, Dan, when you've sold some stuff recently, you had some great prices on that. And again, $1 for this Batman from Eric. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, $1. How much was shipping on that again, Eric?
$19.99 just for tonight.
QVC. Yeah, there you
go. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. This is a great time to go back and get some old pieces. And we're talking about new pieces being so great, but man, there's a ton of really great older pieces as well.
Absolutely.
Again, Sideshow has been the best in the business for a very, very long time. They still make incredible product. They still make incredible statues. And I know, like, when we saw Daniel Bell in his acceptance speech, that made me excited because I'm like, well, they're still working on a lot of stuff. And I know that they want to bring it to us. Maybe they're not bringing it to us quite like we want them to bring it to us in terms of rollout, in terms of, like, 12 days of Sideshow and things like that. But at the end of the day,
Speaking of 12 days of Sideshow.
Oh yeah.
You understand that we're having an event this week?
It's a first.
Can you tell? I mean, other than a 10% discount, how is this an event?
Yeah.
Well, again, it kind of goes back to the mess that's going on right now. If you're part of the Let Your Geek Sideshow groups, so they were going to have all these live shows. They were going to have these live things, and people are waiting for them, and then they just don't come on. And people are like, "Well, there's another one. There's another one." So not a good sign. Like something is not going on there in their social media type thing. Again, what would have been hard about 12 days of Sideshow? There's no live content. There's no nothing. It's literally just a graphic every single day for 12 days to drum up excitement. You do not need somebody on screen playing bingo
Yep.
to give out reward points. You don't need any of that. Yes, it keeps some of the casual collectors engaged. I get that. But I don't feel like they need it. They didn't need that stuff. They needed, I mean, they used to have one show a week on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Maybe they lost some workers. I mean, they did let go of, who was that, Amy?
And they did, Eric. But what I'm saying is, like, they don't need all of that, like 15 live shows a day. Like they don't need all that. They just need to do things to create excitement, to drum up excitement for the things that they're coming out with.
And how many of us actually watched the bingo things and those shows like that? Because we knew there was nothing we wanted to see.
Yeah.
We didn't, because we saw the writing on the wall with the old show. It was Susan, and it was about the product. It was showing what the product was.
Yep.
And somebody talking about it that knew what they were talking about.
Right. They had, they did have some celebrity guests every once in a while, but it was still primarily about the product. Whereas this stuff, the stuff that they've had the last couple of years, it's been okay, but it's more about hanging out and having fun. And that's fine, but they are also a statue company that wants to sell statues.
They had they had an evening broadcast in one of their recent events a few months ago with, who was the woman who left?
Autumn
read an epic poem for a very, very long time. I mean, she read an epic poem. It went on and on and on and on this Sideshow stream.
What the hell?
It was
Who's
the
that catering
most
to?
bizarre thing I'd ever seen in my life. It had nothing to do with anything.
Now, I don't fault Autumn, because I'm sure she was told that you're going to do 15 live shows this week. And it's doing a live show. You guys know it's hard to come up with topics. It's hard to come up with things. Like Eric said, we talk about the same thing because it's hard. Like, it's like we want to talk about this stuff, but it's also hard to come up with things that are new.
Right.
Dude,
So I don't necessarily fault Autumn or Paul. I just feel like it is the current direction. And I feel like I didn't feel like they knew what they were necessarily doing then, and necessarily definitely not now. But maybe they're trying to figure it out. Maybe they're trying to get their ducks in a row.
I hate to sound like an old fogey, but the best shows they did, to me, the best content they did were those original shows that Susan did from that conference room that she was in. She was at a conference table. She had the statues behind her.
Mhm.
Those were the best shows that they've ever
And had the people in that made them
Yeah, exactly.
that could talk about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, like Paula just said, cut to the crap. That's what that was. It was cutting to the crap. It was just saying, this is what it is. We're excited. We're all nerds together. We love this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't have to sugarcoat it. We didn't have to go any further than that. And there was still every single week, there were hundreds and hundreds of people watching that show.
Yep.
And I know that they've got some people that could fill that role and do the same type of concept. But
why don't they listen? Or engage with the community? And
No.
I don't know.
that's frustrating.
I don't know. I mean, and there are a lot of people like you and me. I mean, there's a lot of us out there that would love to do something like that. They would love to interact with the community that way. But again, push the product.
That's it.
That's the thing. And I mean, it would be really difficult though if I was hired by Sideshow. It'd be hard for me to push the Hello Kitty person.
Yeah, but Susan never did that crap. She was always
Because they weren't selling that then.
the statues and the 1/6. I remember her doing
Right, but they weren't selling all that other stuff then. There was very occasionally they would sell some vinyl something.
But
they
she never even featured the smaller stuff though, Chris. Like on the smaller trinkety stuff, not the Hello Kitty stuff, but even like the real small stuff. She never talked about those. She talked about the PFs, the quarter scales, and she talked about the 1/6. Oh, and I think they did hot toys as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
right.
But
they sell a lot of hot toys.
They
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And I don't even know, like they were doing like all the posing hot toy shows. Like, I mean, I know some people watch those, and I don't know if they still do those anymore.
Nope.
Do we know if they've like, is the shipping jacked on those things as well? The smaller packages? I mean, those are pretty small, light packages, right?
I don't know.
It's been a long time since I've ordered one, but
I was just going to
I'm
say,
sure
Jeff,
they're passing it on.
Jeff, do you collect the hot toys anymore?
The last couple I bought in a store. Happened to see them. I got Pennywise from the It movie. I saw it. You know, I was able to pull the slip cover off and you could see it.
Right.
I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback on Mads. It says Amy is by far the best host and most knowledgeable. I would agree with that. She is phenomenal. She knows her shit. She's absolutely fantastic. I don't know why she isn't.
Why did they
a
not let
host?
some of the other people go and keep the one that knew that could do this?
She might have left on her own volition too. So.
Well, I think Amy's still there.
I was gonna say I don't think
Oh, is
Amy's
she?
gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her on much. I mean, that's the thing is it's been real hit or miss. So I mean,
I
could they go
thought there
back
was
to
an
a?
event coming up?
I mean, could they go back to a Sideshow Live type of format with her? Absolutely.
Well, I see that job as a job that comes and goes. It's not something you like sit there and make a career out of for the rest of your life. So
It has to be. It's got to be for her because she hasn't done anything in a long time.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, every single time we see a Prime One thing, it's a new host. Like it's, they keep shuffling through. It's like these are not necessarily long-term things.
Yeah.
But that's the hard part is because with Susan, it was a long-term for her. She was the host for a really long time, and she was Sideshow to me.
Yeah. Me too.
She felt like a collector.
Yeah.
She did.
She did cosplay at all the conventions. She just felt like one of us.
Because and she still does that today. Like if I follow her on Instagram and she still does all that.
Yeah,
So
the on-air personalities of Sideshow now are actors and actresses from LA.
Yeah.
Now, remember that time?
That's how it comes across.
I'm washing the dishes and I'm listening to remember that show Timeless? I don't know if you remember that or not. And I hear a voice from the show, and oh my God, it's Plaid Shirt Guy from Sideshow.
It's Plaid Shirt Guy.
He made a bit part in Timeless. Yeah, that's what those folks are. They're actors from.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. I feel like it's overproduced. It doesn't feel natural or real the way it did with Susan.
It never felt real.
Yeah.
And people see right through that. Dan Blaster says, I wonder if they're
a show about teenagers from people that are not teenagers.
Yep. Dan says, I wonder if they're relying on people like yourselves to showcase their products and news saves them from doing it themselves.
I've said that for years. It's free advertising.
Good point. Yeah.
They are. There's an ongoing
Sideshow,
debate.
I'm right around the corner.
I was going to say, I'll fly into California. Yeah, I'll fly in once a week.
Sheesh.
I was thinking the opposite. You're so close. I'm about to send you a sign and you're going to start protesting out there.
That's right.
We won't pay shipping prices.
There's an ongoing debate in the Disney community because there's so many vloggers now. I mean, there used to be just a handful, and now there's tons and tons of vloggers. And a lot of people wanted to see these vloggers shut down. And they do a lot of live streaming and things like that. But Disney loves them. They are constantly on a daily basis for hours at a time promoting their parks.
Yep.
Yeah.
For free. Why would they want to get rid of that? And so do I think the companies are really, really happy that we do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant.
I mean, you've yourself had several of the companies come on the show to talk about their products with you guys.
Yep.
I think that
and
says it
send
all
me
right
stuff
there.
to review and then send on to somebody else to review. I mean, it's smart. It's smart.
Yeah. It says it all right there. They are relying on you and the other YouTubers that do this.
Yeah. I mean, what if we all quit? What would happen?
Or took a break till they do something about the shipping. Because I just feel like they're making extra on it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, all of these review channels are instrumental in keeping these companies going.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back and forth. I mean, you guys get your perks with the affiliate stuff and all that.
Sure. I mean, there are things, absolutely. Ad revenue and whatever. But
But yeah, I'm sure they're still saving a little bit of money. Advertising is really expensive. So
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, every time you review a piece, it tends to sell out.
Yeah. That's happened for years.
Yep.
You see it sit there for a while. Then when it starts, there's a couple people when their videos hit, a week it's gone.
So I know that we have an impact.
Yep.
Local says we were on a break.
Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these 2 awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.